Salams and welcome. Thank you for joining me in another episode of the Quran in English, the basics for beginners. A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We are busy with verse number 2 of Surah number 4. To orphans, restore their property when they reach their age, nor substitute your worthless things for their good ones, and devour not their substance by mixing it up with your own, for this is indeed a great sin. So look how much emphasis Islam places on looking after the orphans, because orphans are helpless, okay, and many of them are vulnerable. And therefore it is important, insofar as social justice is concerned, that Muslims render a very high level of care and consideration and justice to orphans. If you fear that you shall not be able to deal justly with the orphans, marry women of your choice. And why does it say this? Because in the days of pre-Arabia, and sometimes it also happens in modern society, that when some men are put in charge of orphans, and that orphan happens to be a very wealthy person because the parents left for them a lot of money, and let us assume that the orphan is a young girl, then the guardian of that orphan will want to marry that orphan not out of love or consideration, but because of the wealth of that orphan. And he will want to marry that orphan because she's a wealthy orphan, right? So we need to be clear as to why we are looking after that orphan. So, if you fear that you shall not be able to deal justly with the orphans, marry women of your choice, 2 or 3 or 4. But if you fear that you shall not be able to deal justly with them, then only one, or a captive that your right hands possess. That will be more suitable to prevent you from doing injustice. And give the woman on marriage their dower as a free gift. But if they, of their own good pleasure, remit any part of it to you, take it and enjoy it with right good cheer. To those weak of understanding, make not over your property which Allah has made a means of support for you, but feed and clothe them therewith, and speak to them words of kindness and justice. Look, every verse we are reading, the concept of justice is being emphasized over and over and over again. Make trial of orphans until they reach the age of marriage. If then you find sound judgment in them, release their property to them, but consume it not wastefully, nor in haste against their growing up. If the guardian is well off, let him claim no remuneration, but if he is poor, let him have for himself what is just and reasonable. Once again, justice. When you release their property to them, take witnesses in their presence. But all sufficient is Allah in taking account. From what is left by parents and those nearest related, there is a share for men and a share for women, whether the property be small or large, a determinate share. But if at the time of division other relatives or orphans or poor are present, feed them out of the property and speak to them words of kindness and justice. Let those disposing of an estate have the same fear in their minds as they would have for their own if they had left a helpless family behind. How would you want other people to look after your family when you die, right? So that must be your consideration. Let them fear Allah and speak words of appropriate comfort. Those who unjustly eat up the property of orphans eat up a fire into their own bodies. They will soon be enduring a blazing fire. Allah thus directs you as regards your children's inheritance: to the male a portion equal to that of two females. If only daughters, two or more, their share is 2/3 of the inheritance. If only one, her share is a half. For parents, a 1/6 share of the inheritance to each, if the deceased left children. If no children and the parents are the only heirs, the mother has 1/3. If the deceased left brothers or sisters, the mother gets 1/6. The distribution in all cases is after the payment of legacies and debts. You know not whether your parents or your children are nearest to you in benefit. These are settled portions ordained by Allah, and Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. In what your wives leave, your share is a half if they leave no child. But if they leave a child, you get a quarter, a fourth, after payment of legacies and debts. In what you leave, their share is a fourth, a quarter, if you leave no child. But if you leave a child, they get an eighth after payment of legacies and debts. If the man or woman whose inheritance is in question has left neither ascendants nor descendants, but has left a brother or a sister, each one of the two gets a 1/6. But if more than two, they share in a third after payment of legacies and debts, so that no loss is caused to anyone. Thus is it ordained by Allah, and Allah is all-knowing, most forbearing. These are limits set by Allah. Those who obey Allah and His Messenger will be admitted to gardens with rivers flowing beneath, to abide therein forever and ever and ever and ever. And that will be the supreme achievement. But those who disobey Allah and His Messenger and transgress His limits will be admitted to a fire to abide therein, and they shall have a humiliating punishment. Join me in the next episode as we continue with chapter number 4. Alhamdulillah.